everyone! Today we're going to be learning about the differences between qualitative and quantitative observations. Can anyone tell me anything they know about that so far?
No, I don't know anything. Maybe you use your senses for one of them.
Yes, that's really good. Thank you. So I will explain that yes, you do use your senses for qualitative observations and you use numbers and values for quantitative. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into that as we go through the lesson. So to start off, can you all type in this code that I'm sending in the chat into your Nearpod website? And then I'm also going to be sharing my screen in case you can't join the Nearpod. So today's objectives are: one, I can describe the differences between qualitative and quantitative observations. Two, I can make qualitative observations. And three, I can make quantitative observations. So let's get started. Qualitative observations, as you said earlier, Megan, are data observed using the senses. So sight, smell, touch, and taste, and hearing. So you're using all your senses, seeing what's around you, maybe noting down during your experiment or noting down what you see. So like the colors of things, what things smell like, that kind of thing, versus quantitative observations that are more objective. And objective means that they are usually the same from person to person. So each person will see them the same way, whereas qualitative observations are more subjective. So people might see them as different things. So for example, with qualitative observations, if you're looking at a color, you might describe it as dark blue, but someone else might see it as navy blue. So there's a difference in that description. Whereas in quantitative, if you're looking at two marbles sitting on a counter, you're both going to count those two marbles as two. So you see that number and it's more objective. So to practice, here you can drag your Nearpod screen around, and I want you to just look around, look at the fish, look at the coral, and make some quantitative and qualitative observations. So can you tell me one quantitative observation that you see on my screen?
Six big fish of the blue.
Yes, very
Um,
right. And you added that they were blue, and that's a qualitative observation. So that was like two in one.
Amazing.
This is Paris. As you can see, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things going on. If someone was maybe doing like a social science experiment, they would go here, make some observations. So can you make one qualitative and one quantitative observation about what you see on here?
Yeah, the Eiffel Tower looks considerably bigger than everything else, and it is also this yellowy orange color. A quantitative observation is that I'm counting at least four cars.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yes, you made a comparison, looking at the Eiffel Tower and saying that it's bigger than everything else around it. And that's also a qualitative observation, and that it's yellow, and then counting the cars in your view. And then you can make those types of observations anywhere you go. So before we end the session, we're gonna do a little jingle just to go home with and remember our qualitative and quantitative lesson. So you can repeat each line after me. Qualitative observations, observations.
Qualitative observations, observations.
Use your eyes and ears and mouth and nose.
Use your eyes and ears and mouth and nose.
Qualitative observations, observations.
Qualitative observations, observations.
Quantitative observations, observations.
Quantitative observations, observations.
How far, how long, how much.
How many, how far, how long, how much?
Quantitative observations, observations.
Quantitative observations, observations.
Awesome. Thank you for following along. And to wrap up, we're going to have a collaborative board. So on your Nearpod, can you describe the differences between qualitative and quantitative observations and add as many as you can on here? And each student can post however many post-its you want. And if the Nearpod collaborative board isn't working for you, you can also send your answers in the Zoom chat, and I'll have that open. I can see those also. Yes, qualitative has your senses. That's awesome. And other students, if you agree with what's on the Nearpod collaborative board, you can also heart the message and it goes up. So I see Megan hearted the message and I'm hearted it, so it has two. As you saw today, there's two different main types of observations, qualitative and quantitative. And I want you to keep those two things in mind, the things we learned, the jingle, and our lesson from today, and just go around and as you go through your day, make some observations, because we're always making observations about things we see. And for example, if we're crossing a street, we're looking at how long it is, how many cars are maybe coming towards us, and then making decisions based off of those observations. So qualitative and quantitative observations aren't only limited to scientific experiments, although they're great there for collecting data. They're also included in our everyday lives, and we go throughout our day using them. Do you have any questions?
No, you were very clear. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day, and I'll be here if you have any questions after class. And yes, thank you for coming to class.